Hello everyone, it's Mr. Denman here. So this video today is intended to be a brief run through of what design technology and food nutrition look like at GCSE. It's aimed at parents and carers, but is also useful for students to maybe re-watch when making final decisions about pathways. As I've said, it's a brief look, but a more detailed information can be found in the Pathways booklet, and students will have the assemblies live with me as well as the taster sessions in school lessons, in which more detailed information is shared and questions can be answered and asked. I'm going to start today with the GCSE design and technology, and later on I'll move on to food. So this video will potentially be slightly longer than the others because I need to cover design and technology and food. So if the words on this slide appeal to you, then it's possible that design technology is right for you. D&T is one of the only subjects that has maintained an element of coursework that counts towards your final grade in Year 11. This is an important consideration for many of you who enjoy more practical subjects and ways of working. But as we'll learn later on, the course is by no means all practical. The course will require from you high levels of creativity, problem solving, and questioning. It will teach you skills that are transferable not only to your other subjects, but also to your later life, whether you choose a career in D&T or not. You will have heard much over the past few weeks about having a broad and balanced curriculum. This is to make sure that you don't focus too much on a particular area. D&T offers a fantastic opportunity to have something on your timetable that's different to your other subjects. Often the change is as good as a rest, and having variation in terms of what your school days look like can really help with your motivation and energy levels throughout the day. As I've already said, the course is anything but completely practical, and there is an element of maths and science within it. But in D&T, there is an opportunity to apply these cross-curricular skills in a more practical way. I often get asked about future job opportunities within my subject. As you can see from this slide, the opportunities are incredibly diverse, from engineering to video games design and architecture to fashion design, or website design to carpentry and construction. Essentially, if you have any interest in a potential future career in any industry that has a practical or designing element to it, colleges, universities and employers will look for a design technology GCSE as your starting point. So after a year and a half of design technology here at Deer Park, you know what it's about. You've already learned a huge amount in your time here and designed and made some fantastic projects that I'm sure you have proudly shared at home. Year 9 will build on that base skill and takes it to the next level. I consider the 3-year GCSE here at Deer Park to be a real benefit for this subject. It means we have a whole extra year to build up skills and gain knowledge for your revision and GCSE exams. The key thing to understand about design technology as a GCSE is how we work with the different material types. Your final GCSE exam is split into 2 sections. There's Section A, which covers the core knowledge, and Section B, which covers the chosen specialist material. For you, the chosen specialist material will be timbers, or wood, if you want to call it that. But you'd also need to have a base knowledge of the other materials as well for your core section of the exam. These are, including timbers, metals, plastics, textiles, and papers and boards. So in Year 9, to get you ready for that, we make a project which focuses on each of these materials. Here are some examples on the photographs on the screen of projects that we make in Year 9. As you can see, the expectations of what is produced steps up a level, as does our expectations of your accompanied bookwork and theory. You will also be accessing more equipment and tools to realise your ideas, including the brazing hearth, 3D printers and laser cutters. Alongside these projects, we also go into more detail in regards to the theory and revision required for the GCSE exam. In Year 10, you will be again spending extended periods of time on revision and learning the course content, alongside a main project which we do as a practice piece of coursework, or what's properly called NEA, which stands for Non-Examined Assessment. We make a speaker for this project, and as you can see from the photographs, how it looks is totally up to you, but we also complete the accompanied folder work mimicking what you will be doing in Year 11. The purpose of this is to prepare you for the real NEA in Year 11, so you have a better understanding of what's expected of you when we get there. And then here's some Year 11 examples. So in Year 11, we focus almost solely on the NEA, to the non-examined assessment, the coursework, and then theory and revision leading up to the exam. The NEA will take the best part of the year to complete in lesson time. What you make will be dictated by the brief that we are given by the exam board. You will be offered 6 different potential briefs, which gives you a wide opportunity to make something that appeals to you and interests you, while at the same time offers a huge variety in what is designed, built by our students. So to clarify how you will be assessed and how your final GCSE grade will be decided, it is 50% coursework, or NEA, and 50% a final written exam. You will be graded from 1 to 9, like most of your other subjects. There's 100 marks available from the NEA and 100 marks available in the exam. Those marks are added together and your grade is generated from the final number out of 200. This, again, offers a great opportunity for those of you that struggle with exams, as you know that your NEA grade before entering the exam in the summer. So if you can get your target grade or higher for your NEA, then you know walking into your exam that 50% of your final grade is already decided, and that can help to take some of the pressure off. Now, so far, it all sounds great, but there are some key things that I need you to be aware of when making your choices. Here are some examples of why not to choose design and technology. So obviously, I've been teaching all of you this year, and it is likely that moving forward into next year, I will be teaching the GCSE groups as well, but we are also employing next year. So there is no guarantee with any of your subjects, not just design technology, but with any of your subjects, there is no guarantee you will have the teacher that you currently have, or in some cases that you will maintain that teacher for the 3 years. We try to do that as much as possible, maintain GCSE groups with the same teacher, but there will always be times when that isn't possible. So you've got to make sure that you really, really love the subject. It's not just me in this case, or the teacher that you really like. So just bear that in mind. Another reason would be to avoid written or theory work. There is a huge amount of written work and a huge amount of theory work within this subject. We are a practical subject, but that does not mean that everything we do is practical. What goes with that is maybe a thought that you think that it might be an easier subject to choose. As I've said, and I'll show you in a minute, it certainly isn't one of the easier subjects. There is a huge amount expected of you within this subject that's quite unique to this subject. So that's something to be aware of. And then the final one there, because you think it will be all practical. Now that little table that you can see there is actually the final NEA marking scheme. So that's how we mark your final NEA. The only bit that you really need to be aware of at this stage is if you have a look, you've got 28 marks out of the 100 marks available are for practical. So actually making stuff, building stuff, workshop stuff, is 28 out of 100. So you can see it's a very small percentage there. Obviously 28% is actually practical. The rest of it is investigating, designing, researching, evaluating, all the other things that go with it. Okay, so don't take this subject thinking that it will be an easy ride, because it certainly isn't. A good example of this is an exemplar from one of my old Year 11's folder work. So this is her full folder work from start to finish. And obviously at the end there, you can see the photographs of her finished product. Now, of course, this is a grade band 7 to 9 student. So she's sort of a top level student, but it does give you an understanding of what's required outside of the actual making and building of the project. The word count for this particular NEA, as I've checked, is 8,322 words. Now, that is not a small amount of words. Now, obviously, that's not in one go. That's not an essay. That's separate pages and separate things put together. But the total word count, 8,322, which is pushing, dissertation levels of word count. So that's a lot of words. That's something to be aware of. This is not an easy subject that doesn't require writing. It absolutely does. It's a huge amount of written work that goes alongside your 28 marks for practical. Now, I'm sharing this with you now so that we can be as transparent as possible about the literacy levels required for this course. If you choose design technology, you will be required to learn and retain a lot of information. You'll be required to research and write up and draw and redraw and evaluate. And of course, there will be making and practical, but it can't be that all of the time, unfortunately. That being said, you will be given the time and support you need to achieve all of this if you are willing. So I'll now move on to food. So the GCSE that we do here at Deer Park is called Food and Nutrition, which is a totally separate GCSE to the design and technology areas. So food and nutrition will continue, as with design technology, to build on the foundations that you have learned in Year 7 and Year 8, but we'll start to look in more detail to build up your understanding of food and nutrition beyond the practical skills and the eating. If the element on the board interests you, then food and nutrition could be right for you. So we've got culinary techniques, we've got the knowledge of nutrition, food traditions, kitchen safety, potential for global career opportunities within food and nutrition. Absolutely, there are life skills that go with it. Obviously, cooking and feeding yourself and others is one of the most fundamental life skills to learn. And then obviously confidence cooking with ingredients from all over the globe. So some really interesting stuff. And if all of those points hit you, then it certainly might be the right course for you. At the heart of everything we do in food and nutrition, there is the technical cooking skills in the middle there. So at Key Stage 4, Year 9, Year 10, Year 11, we really push these further beyond the basic skills that you've learned in Year 7 and 8 and towards more professional and complex techniques to make ever more interesting and varied recipes. Around that core of technical cooking skills, we will also study in greater depth food safety, the science of food, food provenance, which means where your foods and different foods come from, what food does for our health, and why different people might choose different types of food. Not all of our practical lessons will be cooking for eating. Some of the time we will learn about food science through experimentation and testing, learning about ingredients and how or why they behave as they do under certain circumstances, ultimately making you a better cook in the long run. As you can see here, types of food that you will produce at Key Stage 4 steps up significantly. What you choose to make is also much more self-directed based on briefs and situations that you will be given by your teachers. At this stage, it will also be worth saying that the ingredients for the practical cooking lessons will be provided by home and do need to be provided for by home. Due to the varied nature of what different students cook each week, it is impossible for us to provide everything. It's a consideration worth thinking about both financially and on an organisational level. If you are somebody who regularly forgets to bring ingredients for practical lessons, then there will either need to change, you'll need to change that quickly, or you'll need to think about doing something else potentially for your GCSEs. Ingredients for the practical experiments will be provided for you by the school. So for your assessment in food and nutrition, similar to design technology, it's 50-50. So 50% NEA, 50% written exam. The slight difference is that the NEA is split into two different sections. So you can see there you've got 15% of your NEA is food science investigation. And you can see there a 2,000 word written report based on a food science experiment. So again, quite heavy on the word count. And then you've got a food preparation task, which is the kind of what we call the final cook, which counts for 35% of your NEA. Again, research and planning tasks leading into a 3-hour practical assessment. And then the written exam there is 50%, a little bit hidden there by the Loom logo there, but you can see short, multiple choice, short answer, 50% waiting for the exam. So that's how you'll be assessed. And then future opportunities in food and nutrition are also incredibly varied and extended well beyond a career in just what you might think hospitality or going into chefing and becoming a chef. Obviously, food and nutrition is the starting point for those excellent careers, but the food industry is incredibly diverse. If you have future aspirations of going into professional sport or sports coaching or medicine, then the scientific side of nutrition would be incredibly valuable for you. You could just as easily end up being a buyer for the food industry or managing finances for huge multinational companies. The list is really endless. And if you want to see a bigger version of that careers poster there, then I can show you in class. Finally, similar to design technology, why not to choose food and nutrition? Again, we've talked about because you like the teacher. Again, the likelihood is next year you may well have a different teacher for food and nutrition. Again, to avoid written or theory work, we do a lot of report-based, writing-based stuff, so you need to understand that. And as I've said already, there's a lot of science related kind of information in food and nutrition, so there's a lot of theory that goes alongside with it. Because you think it will be an easy option, absolutely is not an easy option. And because you think it will be all cooking, which it absolutely won't be. With both design technology and food and nutrition, it's likely, if you follow the same model as Wilden, that you will have 5 hours of your option subjects per fortnight. So you'll have 5 hours of design technology per fortnight if you choose it at GCSE. For context, in terms of practical lessons, roughly 2 out of our 5 will be practical, and that includes the food science experiments. So please do bear in mind that the other sub-lessons will be writing and planning and researching and designing recipes. That being said, currently you have 1 lesson per fortnight and cook every other lesson. So at the moment, we only cook once a month, roughly. So the amount of cooking in food and nutrition will go from once a month to once a week, which is a big increase. But like with D&T, it is important that you understand from the start that technology subjects are a mixture of practical and theoretical study. So I hope you found this useful. Obviously, once you have had your taster lesson and you know a bit more about the courses, then if after that and reading the Pathways booklet you have any questions that are still burning, then obviously come and have a conversation with me, or parents at home, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. I can answer more specific questions then. Or obviously when students see me around schools or around school or in lessons, then you can absolutely come up and ask me more specific questions. And I know that Mr. Smith has encouraged you to do so. Of course, I would say design and technology and food are obviously the best subjects in the school, in my opinion, and we are incredibly lucky to be at a school that values them so highly, but choose it for the right reasons. If you do, then you will absolutely love your years of study here. Thank you for your time. See you all soon. Bye.